Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Wade. I am a partnership manager here at Bitwave. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Lee and Christine at Smolin Lupin. Lee, Christine, how are you doing today?
I do well,
Doing well.
Chris. How are you?
Wonderful. Excellent. Doing great. So, yeah, I would love to learn more about each of your specific roles at Smolin Lupin. Would you be able to provide a brief introduction?
Okay, thanks. My name's Christine Malilly. I am a tax director at Smolin Lupin. We are a full service advisory, tax, and audit public accounting firm. We have been around for 75 years. We have offices throughout New Jersey and Florida. I'm based out of our Red Bank, New Jersey office, and I work with my colleague Lee Holtzman on servicing and building our Web3 client base.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Christine. My name is Lee Holtzman. I'm a tax supervisor here for Smolin Lupin. I'm located in the Fairfield, New Jersey office. I've been with the firm now for a couple of years and been working with my colleague Christine Malilly, and we've both been spearheading the Web3 and crypto tax compliance for our clients.
All right, excellent. Well, I appreciate the both of you joining me today. And Lee, you mentioned that you have experience working with Web3 clients. I know we've been working together for almost 2 years now. And I'd love for you to, provide some additional insights in terms of what you've seen out there in the marketplace working with companies that are facilitating perhaps transactions on the blockchain.
Well, it's always a funny story how we originally connected, Chris. We always get a good kick out of that when we get together. But it's fortunate for companies like you guys. It makes the days of us going back to when we first started with the crypto accounting and the NFTs and whatnot, working off these CSV spreadsheets and whatnot, and trying to manipulate the data. We weren't as fortunate to have companies like Bitwave pulling right off the blockchains and being able to manipulate the data in real time and syncing in the transactions. And as you know, when we work with our one of our first clients with VeeFrieds, we crashed a couple of platforms before ending up on Bitwave and sort of made a name for ourselves in the industry, crashing these platforms and whatnot. And fortunately, you guys stuck with us through that, and we're very thankful about that. And everything's going well on the Bitwave site. And
Excellent. Wonderful. Yeah, VeeFriends is definitely a great use case there on being able to accommodate high volume, like you said, put rules, automation in place to definitely help them scale. And also developing a partnership with them as well is great to be able to fly out there to Indianapolis and actually meet with Gary and his team. So I appreciate you sharing that story. And, I'm thinking forward, as we continue to work together, which kind of leads to our main discussion today. I was hoping that you would be able to, the both of you, provide, the top 5 tips that you can share with businesses when filing their taxes.
Okay, I'll start us off, Chris. Thanks. So I'll give you my top 3, and then I'll hand the baton to Lee to take it over. But my first one is simply to stay organized, and it sounds easier than done, probably. It's always important in the accounting and tax world to maintain proper and accurate books and records. But Chris, I think especially in the Web3 space, it's even that much more important mainly because of the lack of guidance that we've been given from the regulatory bodies. So you talk about tax season. Let's say down the road, the IRS, challenges a tax position that a business took. You want to make sure that you have all your books and records well organized, well kept. And the best way to do that is to have a great bookkeeper and a good tax advisor that's maintaining those books and records, so that it kind of takes that off your plate as a business owner or an executive, and you make sure that all that's being handled properly. And then to dovetail that, I would say maintaining the open lines of communication with your team. You don't want to call your tax advisor and tell him or her about a historical transaction. You want to keep them in the know, keep them in the day-to-day. That's the best way to optimize tax planning opportunities, tax savings opportunities. Everybody wants to save on taxes. So, you know, having that good team, maintaining the open lines of communication. And then for me, third but not least, going back to Lee's story, automate as much as you can within your business. This is going to keep you ahead of the curve. This is going to elevate your efficiencies, save a company a lot of money. You know, Lee mentioned that initially we didn't have Bitwave, right, as our service provider, and the crash platform. So, you know, using a software like Bitwave that has the capabilities of implementing rules to categorize revenues and expenses. When you're dealing with a Web3 client that has massive amounts of transactions, this will really elevate, you know, efficiencies and save a company a lot of money and time in the long run. So I think the investment in the automation is worth the while. So those would be my three. I'm going to hand it to Lee to add to those.
And going back, something that we like to do with our clients is also look over their inventory methods. So as you know, with crypto, it's you have the FIFO, first in, first out, LIFO, which is last in, first out. And then lastly, you have this HIFO, which is highest in, first out. And the strategy behind this is minimizing the short-term gain exposure and sort of pushing the use of the, let's say, ETH or whatnot to long-term gain exposure, the more favorable tax rates. So this is all tax planning that we look at. Now, as we know, last year wasn't the best year for crypto and whatnot, and a lot of the planning that we did with our clients was structuring their transactions on the realized gains, and maybe we were taking those last year as opposed in 2024 when they were expecting more income to be in that year. So there's a lot of tax planning that goes along throughout the year, and we like to be in contact with our clients. And lastly, what we've seen a lot with Web3 is also called a research and development tax credit. It's a federal tax credit, and it's for resolving a technological uncertainty. Currently, right now, well, last year, the expenses associated with the R&D credit were supposed to be amortized over a 5-year period over straight line. There's currently a bill that's floating around in Washington, typical, second week of February, and it could go back, and we're anxious to see what happens. But the proposed legislation is for immediate expensing of such credit. So these are things that we're monitoring closely. We're holding up returns, and a lot of planning is associated with this. But it's going to be impacting a lot of our clients too. And some of the clients that come to us from larger firms, they're not taking advantage of this R&D tax credit, and we're connecting them, and we're also looking into other tax credits or savings that we can reduce their tax burden come the end of the year.
Incredible. Really appreciate that insight there. Making sure that you have an effective team, open lines of communication, having the technology in place to automate the process of helping our clients close out their books and file their taxes, as well as effective tax planning, picking and choosing the appropriate inventory disposal methodology and seeing if you can qualify for these tax credits. Remarkable. Thank you so much for those insights. I love it. And a lot to be excited for regarding 2024. You know, we just got the ETF approved, market's pumping right now. I would love to hear from the both of you. What are you excited about for this upcoming year, for 2024?
Yeah, Chris. Well, I am super excited about the continued growth that we're seeing in the Web3 space. I love the day-to-day challenges and the nuances. This is a very dynamic and fluid space to be in. But to sort of counterbalance that, I am also hopeful and excited that we'll continue to see regulations coming from, you know, the legislation from the regulatory bodies. You know, as accountants and lawyers, we really rely on that to properly serve our clients. And although the IRS did issue proposed regs on reporting by brokers for the sale or exchange of digital assets, and the FASB did issue ASU 2023-08, addressing the accounting and disclosure requirements for certain crypto assets. So that's great. And I look forward to more of that coming down the pike in 2024.
Excellent.
We're definitely excited for the adoption and growth in the industry, in the whole space, but also felt like for years we were always having this opposition side where, oh, that's not going to go anywhere. What is that? You can't touch that. Bitcoin, you can't touch Ethereum. Market's booming right now, Chris, as you know, you just mentioned. And I think when we're going to be looking back, we're the first adopters. We've been with this for years now. The future's bright. A lot of these big projects are doing really well, and a lot of momentum is still around them. And there's a lot of support. There's still money going into these companies. And we're excited for where it goes in the future.
Love it. Love it. Yep. I agree. It's great to have the clarity that's been issued by FASB, but also super excited about additional regulation. And that way, we can provide a sense of additional sustainability as the market continues to grow. So it's great to be able to work with partners like yourself to be able to add value to our community. Which kind of leads to my last question here. Can you remind everyone what makes an ideal client for Smolin and Lupin?
Yeah, Chris, at Smolin, we really focus more on the personality and relationship fit, not necessarily the size or the stage of the business that the client's at. We're happy to go along with the ride, but we will have a conversation about expectations. What does the client expect from us? What do we expect from a client? And make sure that that's a good fit, and that all expectations can be fulfilled. Lee, just going back to what Lee said about, we've recently onboarded clients that came from larger accounting firms. And what we found there is they weren't really getting the attention or the access to their point of contact. And so that has kind of worked out well for us. At the same time, you don't want to go to a firm that's too small that can't handle your this sort of business. So, but for us, it's really about a personality and relationship fit, and not necessarily about the size or the stage of the business. So, I don't know, Lee, who's your ideal client?
Well, like you mentioned, it's when we first have the initial call with the client, as well as them interviewing us, is that we're also interviewing them to see if, one, our personalities are going to jive, and also if there's additional services they need. And we have no problem looking over a tax return and saying that everything is being done correctly and whatnot, and opining on another professional's work, and no problem at all, and saying that they're doing a good job. But sort of what we're looking, we don't have a minimum or whatnot when you're coming in the door, or certain revenue or a certain size or PE funding and all that type of stuff. So really try and have a personality fit with our clients. A lot of these clients that we're working with now are working with these fractional CFOs or back of the house bookkeeping companies that also we have a great relationship with. So does Bitwave. So everything is very in sync between the three firms here, three firms.
Excellent. Well, Lee, Christine, I certainly appreciate our partnership. I think we have the opportunity to do a lot of good to the Web3 ecosystem, and definitely appreciate the both of you joining me here today. So thank you again, and I'm sure we'll be keeping in touch here very shortly.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.